Hey everybody, and welcome to week 6 of class. So this week we're going to be diving into a period of history which is really significant because it sets the stage not only for what we're going to call manifest destiny, or our God-given right to move west across the American continent, but we're also going to be looking at a war, the War of 1812, a conflict that is in many ways a forgotten war, one that for some reason we do not focus on as much. And so, one of the things I want to do is to focus on this particular conflict, because in many ways the War of 1812, which is going to erupt during James Madison's presidency, and it lasts from 1812 into technically 1814, although as we will see, there will be one final climactic battle which takes place in 1815. But in many ways, the War of 1812 provided for the United States its sense of identity, its sense of self. Okay, the American Revolution created a country. The War of 1812 sort of gave it its soul, if you will. And we're going to be talking about that particular conflict. And there were many causes for this conflict, although chief among them was the fact that the British were impressing American ships and seamen, and really causing some problems with respects to neutral rights along the sea that caused some issues between the United States and the British. But there was also a desire to be able, maybe perhaps, to move the American border further north into what is now Quebec and Montreal, because at that point the northern border with Canada was not set. And there was also some other issues with respects to the British inciting Native American rebellion within the U.S. So we are going to go to war against Great Britain. But of course, that conflict will also have some significant roots in some European issues that are going on, particularly between France and Britain. But we'll be talking about all that. The other thing that we're going to look at this week is the presidency of Thomas Jefferson, and specifically we're going to be looking at the Louisiana Purchase. Now, this is probably something that you've heard about in the past, but we need to understand that this purchase was strategically done in many ways because Thomas Jefferson's vision for the United States was to become a republic of independent farmers. And what Madison and Jefferson both really wanted to see was for Americans to spread westward in order to maintain what they called the third stage of American, or rather life development. The final stage would be a process of industrialization, and they didn't think that that was a good thing. What they wanted was to remain in kind of an agricultural sector where essentially white Americans would remain as really subsistence farmers, and if they had anything left over, they would be able to engage in free trade with other nations. But the only way that that was going to happen is if there was enough land for every white farmer to have land. And so the Louisiana Purchase is done in part to fulfill that goal that Jefferson has. But in buying this purchase, right, which it more than doubled the size of the country, it really opens up the United States towards westward expansion. And that had both positive and negative things or ramifications. And so we'll be looking at all that this week, okay? As far as other assignments go, of course, you've got your first PowerPoint assignment coming up. I've been talking about that, but just want to, put that back in your ear. If you haven't begun working on that project, you'll want to do that. And if you have any questions about how to do it, or you want to run by me what topics you're planning on looking at, please feel free to do so. I'm happy to talk with you about that. Okay. All right, guys, that's pretty much what I have for you this week. So as always, I will ask that you go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. All right, guys, have a blessed week.